And welcome to Technology Tab. This is ProfessorJRod. Welcome, guys. Season 2, first episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about a research that I was involved in this summer, which I think you guys will find it very interesting. Let's get to it. Hey, guys. Welcome back. Hope everybody had a nice summer. I know I did. So I was saying in the intro, during this summer, I participated in a research with a bunch of my students called Graduates versus Non-Graduates, a study of IT hiring trends. So, and in this study, this is something that you guys, a lot of my students ask me is what is better, to get certification or to get a degree? So about five of my students and myself, we went on LinkedIn. We created a Google form first with a list of questions. We went on LinkedIn and asked IT managers, HR managers, and technical recruiters if they could fill out this form with these questions. And I'm gonna read you the questions, and I'm gonna tell you the responses that we got. Some of them were very, very interesting. Some of them were very eye-opening for me and the students. So the first question that we ask is it an advantage to hire a non-certified IT tech? So what does that mean? Someone who just has a college degree. 75% of the respondents said no. And some of the reasons why they gave is people trying to start in the industry should be trained. It is hard to obtain an IT job without certs. So if you have the skills, go prove it and take the exams. They're talking about college students. It shows that the individual, and this is why they want to hire certified students. It shows that individuals had invested time and money into improving their skill set within a certain time, which is very very eye opening. And why would they hire college students? And the 25%. Here's some of the reasons that they listed. Certificates doesn't guarantee a good hire. And another person said, when hiring someone without experience, you getting virtually a clean slate with very few bad habits to untrain. Another one said, although it is better to hire a certified IT tech, there are occasions where you want to hire a college graduate because you can have them focus on certain realms of IT that your organizations might need. Another question that was asked, now we flipped it, is it a disadvantage to hire techs that are only certified? 60% said no, 40% said yes. Now those who said no, here's something that one of them said, entry-level jobs don't require education as much as skill and determination. A strong candidate can be certified and thus better suited for the role than a graduate. And someone who said yes said a college graduate in IT becomes exposed to several facets of technology that are in higher demand. The time invested in the achievement of a college degree shows focus and longevity into learning the craft. Now, the next is an advantage to hire an IT graduate. 80% said yes. One of the reasons why an IT graduate would have the advantage of taking English and communication classes, which are vital for interdepartments communication. And that is true. You have to learn how to read and write, right? If you're going to be one of these people who kind of like don't use spell check or Grammarly, yeah, that reflects poorly in your department. And remember, computers is part of communications. A lot of people forget that. Do IT graduates perform better than their non-graduates counterparts? 62% said no. And here's one that they said. IT graduate possess the fundamental knowledge, and while training would differ from one company to the next, an employee with a college degree has shown more expansive knowledge through several portions of IT and not just a single vertical, which means where, somebody who taken in probably a college degree, probably taking a lot of computer classes where if you have someone who's just certified, he's probably just concentrating on one thing. Future trends in hiring. A lot of people think that skills and certification is 86% is what's going to happen in the future more than education. Do IT graduates perform better than non-graduates? 66% say no. So this, those of you who are on that track. Do organizations spend more resources to train IT graduates than certified ones? Again, 67% said no. Are IT graduates more likely to be in more initiative on their job than the certified non-graduates? 58% said no. Now here's the interesting part, and this is where basically where a lot of you uh, really that's where you really want to know. Does a college graduate receive the same compensation slash benefits as someone who's only certified? And 71% said no, which means what? They're of the opinion that if you get your college degree, you're going to make more money, right? That's basically what they're telling us in the survey. And now there's a couple of more interesting things. But first, now this. You can go to the gym in that free time. Well, Instacart gives unlimited grocery delivery for one low monthly fee. Way better than the other guys who nickel and dime you to death every time you use their app. Forget that one ingredient to make sancocho? Instacart can deliver it to your front door in as little as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in the area so you can save money, and every item is hand selected according to your preferences. No more green platanos when you wanted yellow ones. And they keep your eggs safe too. To start your 14-day trial, please click the link in the show notes to let Instacart know that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart. Never set foot in a grocery store again. All right, so we're back. So one of the things that actually we find out in the survey is that other than the initial thing that I first stated about communicating, how they that's a big thing that jobs are looking at. They having a college degree, and I'm a big proponent of both. Right, it's better to have both, but there's still value in having a college degree. Now, granted, we didn't do a huge sample size. I think we did about 60 people, but it shows that there is value and it would help them. And one of the things that we noticed in doing the literature review from what other researchers have done is IT students who have college degrees, they're more willing to take chances on their job. What does that mean? So you graduate from school, you have a college degree in IT, and somebody offers you a job. Now, it may not be the money that you're looking for, right? It may be less than what you're looking for, but you are willing to take the job because you know once you have experience, you can take that skill plus the degree that you have and move on to another job. Where another researcher has said that if you just have a certification, you might be afraid to do job hopping, right? Oh, I got a job. I don't want to go for another job because I don't have a college degree. I think, and I think that's true. I've seen that in real life when I've had colleagues who don't have a college degree and they're afraid, they're making decent money where they're at and they're afraid to get another job because they only have the certification and they don't have a college degree. And I have many friends who had certifications, didn't have a college degree, went and got their college degree and been able to move immensely and obtain more money. So again, if you can do both, do both. Not saying that only get your cert. No, cert's very important. You need your certs. Uh, you know, they will help you get a job. But if you can get both, you add you have a huge advantage over a lot of other people because again, it's very, very, very important. There's still value in having a college degree. So certifications help people with knowledge in a particular subject, right? But they could lack other critical skills like writing skills, reading skills, right? So that's the chance that you take. But you can have someone. There's different reasons why people don't go to college, right? First generation. Yeah, it's very hard for that first generation to go to college and finish college because usually you don't have that support, right? When you have second generation college, if you ever talk to someone who's second generation college, they will tell you, oh, I didn't have to worry. There's a lot of aspects that you don't have to worry about, like how you're going to get to school, who's going to pay for my books, who's going to pay for my tuition, because you have that first generation, usually a parent, who's going to help them, right? But when you first generation, and especially a lot of us who come from different countries and come here to the States, there's always this mentality of you got to work, you got to work, you got to work, you got to work, right? Even I finished my master's and I was in my 40s, right? I mean, people always ask me, do you have regrets? No, because they didn't have cybersecurity, 20 years ago. So no, I don't. But uh, there's a huge difference. There's like reasons why people don't go to college. You could be a great worker and just not be able to afford to go to college, and that should not shut you out or give you the ability to make decent money for yourself or your family. So you know and I've worked with people who only you know just had a high school diploma and had a couple of certs, and they were you know great people to work with and for, right? My old supervisor only had a high school diploma and he was he's excellent, excellent tech. So it doesn't a college degree doesn't define you, but it helps you. And just and we all know there's certain jobs that would only hire you for a college degree, right? They won't hire you for anything else. If you don't have a college degree, don't even bother showing up. Don't even bother sending the resume, right? Because they won't look at it. So there's that. Is it right? No, but it's it's their business and they're entitled to it. So yeah, I thought this was very interesting. There's a lot more stuff in there. I kind of like don't want to bore you, but I thought this would make it something that you can talk about. Just to think about it again, we had a small sample size. We didn't get to do. I would have liked to done a lot more, but we only had like 2 weeks in order to do it, and it was more about teaching the students how to do a proper research. But yeah, everybody was happy with the research. But if you want me to share the contents with you, the PowerPoint, I can always send it to you. Just email me, ProfessorJRod@gmail.com. But yeah, it was a very eye opener. I never thought about you know basically being a well-rounded tech where they're looking for more than just technical skills. They're looking for writing skills, reading skills, you know, being able to, what's more important, right? You have two problems. Which one you're going to do first? Critical thinking. That's the word I'm looking for. They're looking for critical thinking skills. Maybe you don't have it if you just have a certification, or it takes time to learn that. Um, where they assume, because you have a college degree that you have that. So yeah, so that'll put a bow on it this week, on this episode. But man, do I have a big surprise for you on the next episode? I don't want to spoil it, but it's going to be a very, very special guest star on the next episode. This has been a presentation of Little Chacha Productions, art by Sarah, music by Joe Kim. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at ProfessorJRod at gmail.com.